Afternoon to you. I was working on a project here and happened to think of a little incident that happened to one of my friends the other day. He was nailing with a brad nailer. Might have been a finish nailer. I think it was a brad nailer using 2-inch nails. And he was doing this, and he had his hand in line, and he pulled the trigger. Before he knew it, he had a brad nail poking out the middle of his fingernail. And what had happened was the nail had, well, I'll show you on this piece of wood. Basically, the nail had hit the growth rings and followed them around and deflected and popped out where his hand happened to be. So mental note, I know that the temptation, I do this all the time, the temptation to hold this stuff right there is great. You might want to start, definitely don't do this. I would keep my hand back or use some clamps. These things can be dangerous. One of the other things that I know people do, and I do this myself, but I've seen somebody got by it, is you run out of nails, so you pop the thing open and you're gonna screw around here, and somehow you while you're loading the nails, the gun goes off, and it's usually not very safe. So just FYI, just disconnect the thing. It's just easier. Treat it like an electric drill or a jigsaw and just disconnect it. It takes 2 seconds to pop that hose off. And one of the things to do too is don't forget to put a little oil in there. You can use, I suggest you use actual air tool oil, but that being said, I have got away with a lot of different oils over the years. I would use air tool oil because you don't know what the mechanisms are made like in these things, and the oil may attack the O-rings and stuff and void your warranty. Now, I've used just air tool oil off the shelf, and I've used Marvel Mystery Oil, and I've used Marvel Mystery Air Tool Oil. I don't know if there is a difference or not, but I've had good luck with both. One of the other things to do too is once you disconnect the gun, is to go ahead and put it down and then pull the trigger. I don't know where I ever saw this. I think it might have been a big nailer or something. I did see one time that even though you disconnected the thing, and I'd never seen a gun do this before, it must have had a check valve or something in it. It still could hold a charge to fire at least one time. So even though you had disconnected the thing, it still could go off. And you always ought to check these things before you, before you use them. One of the things is, at least on this gun, is it won't fire while the nose isn't pushed down. It won't fire if you hold it and the nose gets pushed down. The only way it's going to fire is if it's pushed down and then you pull the trigger. I would test those functions. I've seen too many nasty little accidents, especially on cheesy air guns. The nose will hang up or something goofy will happen. And any of those power tools, you don't have to be afraid of them. Don't be afraid of power tools, but respect them. You do have to respect them and know what they can and can't do. I just thought I would mention that because, like I said, this happened, I don't know, within a couple weeks ago. And like a dummy, he didn't go to the hospital, and a few days later his finger started to kind of blow up like a little balloon. And he had an infection in there because it didn't bleed very much. It's lucky he didn't have to lose his finger. He caught it kind of early enough, and I think they gave him some intravenous antibiotics. It made him sick as a dog, he said, but being sick as a dog and losing the tip of your finger are two different things. It would be a nasty little surprise, and I have to admit that I've shot some nails before and had them go astray. So if you're just screwing around and you aren't if you aren't a frequent air nailer user, you might want to think about those things. Even if you are, usually what happens, at least I've noticed over the years, is people that are very familiar with the tools just get careless. You just forget a step and then something happens. It only takes one time. I'll be the first to admit that I've gotten the one of the tips of my finger nipped a little bit by a circular saw. Luckily it grew back, and after a year I got the feeling back. But it was a pretty good warning. Now I always think about what I'm going to do. It takes a little longer, but I think I've averted a few little disasters. Anyway, just a friendly little bit of advice to my to the folks out in YouTube land. I'd like you to keep all your fingers. Take it easy. If you have a question or comment, feel free to leave it. Or a bad story about how something went astray on you. If it helps somebody else, I say it's worth telling. Take it easy. Have a good day. Yeah, remember we were having a little talk about nails coming out of the side? Well, what do you know? Looky there. Well, that's not a nail. There it is. And that baby's pretty far back. Just, it shot right out of the side. If I'd have been holding my thumb there, I'd have got it. I was actually holding it back here. Gotta be careful. I know it's a pain in the butt, but, you know, you gotta think constantly. That's an 1.5-inch nail. Yeah, anyway. Don't say I didn't tell you so. Have a good day. Take it easy.